Abba dude! Hi there, this is Abba dude! Welcome back. And today's video is another Tech Talk video, which I seem to be doing a lot of just lately for some reason. But this one is a follow-up, in fact, to the last one, which was the installation video showing the CPlay to Air wireless CarPlay dongle in the eyepiece. So after that video came out, a company contacted me that do a similar product called Carlinkit, which again is a wireless CarPlay dongle. They tell me it has a more stable chip than the CPlay to Air, but we'll see if that makes any perceivable difference to the user experience. But I do have to point out that they sent me this free of charge, so unlike the CPlay to Air, I haven't paid for this with my own money. However, it's not a paid promotion. They haven't paid me at all to give it a favourable review or whatever. All they've done is sent me the product for free. So in light of the fact that they say it's got a more stable chip, I'm going to do the video. I'll show the unboxing first, then we'll show the installation in the car, and then I'm going to leave it at that point and use it for a few days, and then cut in an extra bit at the end, given my experiences of using it for a few days. Because obviously I've had the CPlay to Air in the car for a while now, and I'd like to give you a bit of a comparison of how they are to use between the two, particularly since they've claimed it's a more stable chip. It'd be interesting to see if there's any difference in the user experience. The three things I'm primarily going to be looking at for that part of the video will be reliability of connection. You know, once it's connected, is it flawless and stay connected with no problems? Speed of connection, so on start up, how quick is it connected to the phone? And smoothness of the connection, so things like Apple CarPlay, map streaming and stuff, but mainly audio streaming, I guess, is where any weaknesses may or may not show up. So that's the three areas: is audio performance, reliability connection, and speed of connection that I'll be looking at. So anyway, without any further ado, let's start out with a look at the product. So as you can see there, we got the box. Again, very standard product these days, in a very Apple-ish kind of box. Nothing much on the back, and just a simple picture on the front. So, I hate this stuff. Get this shrink wrap off. Right, there we go. And tear it off, put that to the side, and right, let's get it out of the box. Well, the box lid is actually, if anything, it's tighter than the box lid on the CPlay to Air. Come on. Right, there we go. That's it open. That wasn't easy. Okay, so what's in the box? Start off with the user manual. Again, wouldn't really call this a manual. More of a leaflet, to be honest. But yeah, you've got a fairly simple process, I guess, just talking you through the installation. And no, don't need that side. That's in a language I don't understand. So it's just those 4 pages really of instructions. And in the box you've got the device itself, a little dongle, some anti-scratch covering which I'll take off once it's in the car. Pretty normal looking little square device. Now interestingly, this one comes with a separate USB cable, where the CPlay to Air comes with a built-in cable. I kind of prefer this, if I'm honest. Kind of prefer the separate one, because it just means if there's a break in the cable of some sort, of fault in the cable, you can just replace it with any other USB-C cable. So in that sense, I'm already in favour of this, just on that factor alone. So yeah, looks fairly simple, looks very similar setup process. The quick glance I had at the instructions there, looks almost identical setup process, and I see it's even got a little QR code for the updating the software. So the actual installation and use side of it seem very, very similar. So I think it's going to be a straightforward process to connect. Hopefully it won't have the little glitch I had with the CPlay to Air. If you've watched that video, you know it took a bit of time and effort to get it to connect, but once it connected it was fine. So yeah, let's take this out to the car and get it set up and see how it goes. Okay, so we'll start by plugging it into the center console. Helps if you put the USB plug the right way up though. Plug it into the center console. Either of the two USB sockets in the center console is fine. And then it's obviously going to take a few moments to power up. But hopefully we should get the installation message on the screen of some sort. There we go. Okay, so I'm looking for Jaguar 872E in my phone's Bluetooth list, which I've put on the left side of the screen for you there. Nothing so far. Now that's weird. The CPlay to Air did this. It came up as a Volkswagen device as well. You can ignore the Jaguar DE0A, by the way. That's the other one. That's the CPlay to Air, which pair unsuccessful. Now now it's gone from the list. But coming up as a Volkswagen is weird, because that's exactly what CPlay to Air did for me. And this screen looks identical as well. Although it's got a QC5, which I can only assume is Qualcomm. I'll try and connect, but yeah, there's no device. Let's try the Car BT one. I don't recognize what that is, Car BT, so maybe that's it. Let's try and pair with it anyway and see what happens. Sorry, yes, the QC5 should be where my phone name appears. Nope, unsuccessful. Should be, so it should show Alex's iPhone 11 Pro or something like that. I don't know. There we go, Alex's iPhone 11 Pro. I don't know what the QC5 is though. QC has to be Qualcomm, but I don't know what don't know why that's there. I'm sure that wasn't there in the CPlay to Air. But anyway, back to the task in hand. Still showing up as a Volkswagen, but at least it's showing up again now. At least it's back on the list, and it's gone again. No, it's looking like a very similar process. In fact, it's looking like an identical process, if I'm honest. This looks like exactly the same software as the CPlay to Air. So yeah, they obviously share a lot of internals. Oh, there we go. We've got a Jaguar device now. Jaguar 872E. Okay, that's a start. That's a start. Let's try and pair with it. Oh, it's showing as connected. It's showing as connected. But it's not coming up. Okay, now it's changed. I'm going to unplug it. Give it 30 seconds. Obviously, because, you always, just turn things off and on again. There's an art to it. It's way more than that. If you turn it off, wait 30 seconds and on again. That's the correct process. I didn't learn nothing from watching the IT crowd, So yeah, I'll give it about 30 seconds or so for the device to fully power down. And then we'll plug it back in again. Back into either one of those sockets, and we are up and running. Right now, let's try and connect. Not connected, but connecting. Let me connected. Let me check the software. Let me try the software update process using the QR code. It is the latest version. Let me just manually check for updates just in case. Nope, so it's not down to the software. Okay, let's go back. Not connected. Waiting for connection. Auto connecting. Yeah, it's a bit of a strange one, this. Both of them have done exactly the same thing. They've obviously got the same software. So it's going to be the same process all over again. Well, the last time it was just a matter of time. It was just a matter of showing some patience. And it did clear itself eventually. But yeah, it's just more of the same. As the device, it keeps disappearing and reappearing in the device list, which makes me think the dongle is kind of going through some kind of reset process every now and again, even. I'll try pairing with it again. There's the 872E. We're connected. Oh, right. There's progress. Click on Use CarPlay. Any sign of it? Come on. Use CarPlay. I've clicked it. Use CarPlay. Not connected. Right. Okay, this is turning out to be exactly as frustrating as the C-Play to Air was. But it does, well, certainly that one worked eventually, so I'm assuming this one is going to suddenly kick itself into life at some point. But yeah, for the moment, it's identical. Let me try just pairing with that Qualcomm device. Nah, not working. Yeah, no, just in case. Well, I'm saying Qualcomm, QC. Okay, look, I'm gonna have a think about this for a minute and see if I can come up with anything. Okay, this is way more frustrating than it was on the C-Play to Air. But it could be coincidence, because it is the same problem that I had. Nothing's, the C-Play to Air did this as well. It just came up, it fixed itself, if you like, it righted itself a lot quicker than this one is. I don't know if it's going to at this point. I mean, this has been a long time. But connecting. I've switched the car off and back on again. I've forgotten the pairing and tried to repair, and it's just not happening. Okay, let's keep trying. Oh, I just briefly saw a CarPlay screen there. Now it's gone back. But there was a CarPlay screen. There was icons there for a second. There it is. There it is. Finally. Okay, I'm going to edit that. I'm going to edit that right down. I'm going to take a lot of that out, because that was a long time. That was... I don't even know how long that took. I think that was about 45 minutes. It was certainly at least half an hour of trying and retrying. But there you have it. We have a CarPlay screen. So yeah, I will edit it down. But basically, I don't know what worked. It was just perseverance. It was constantly unplugging, replugging, unplugging, replugging. I tried forgetting the pairing and then retrying it numerous times. But none of that seemed to help. It just kept doing the same thing over and over again. But now, yeah, well, seems to be working. Right, I'm almost dreading doing this, but let me, okay, rather than start and stop the car, what I'm gonna do is just pull it out and plug it back in again and see how that does. So I'll unpair it. Sorry, I mean unplug it. Unplug it. Give it a second to shut itself down. Okay. Plug it back in again. Let's see if it comes up. I'm almost scared to do this. I'm almost scared that it's going to go back. Right, there's the screen. There's the name. It's connecting. CarPlay Alex iPhone 11 Pro. Okay, this time it's paired. That seemed a little bit quicker, I have to say, but that could be in my imagination. I'll find out more. And the car's not cold. You know, everything's not off. So I'll wait until I've done that a few days evaluation just to see, to make sure it's staying stable, so to speak. So yeah, let's have a look. So we've got obviously the icons. Swipe right, right again. Yep, everything's there. Swiping's working fairly smoothly. There's a better route planner. Nope, missed it. Try that again. Better route planner. Okay, there's better route planner CarPlay version coming up. Okay, I'm not seeing any map, but that's because I'm in my garage and I've got a really poor data signal at the moment. So I'm not too worried about that. Alright, let's go back. Let's have a look at the, let's see, the music screen. Again, it's going to be slow. Oh, it's not too bad actually. I was going to say it's going to be slow because of the weak data signal, but okay, let's have a quick burst of this just to make sure. Okay, that's enough of that. We don't want to get a copyright strike, but yeah, that seems to work. So the music streaming is certainly fine. Back to the home page. So yes, the installation process is pretty much identical to the C Play to Air. The user interface is pretty much identical to the C Play to Air. And the way of updating the firmware with the QR code and the on-screen graphics are pretty identical. So I think there's a lot of shared componentry, shall we say, between the two devices. As I say, Carlinkit tell me that it uses a more stable chip. I don't know how I'm going to assess that, but as I say, I'll run it over the next few days, give it a go, use it every time I use the car, and I'll be able to then compare it with my experiences of the C Play to Air, and I'll let you know how I get on. So that's it for this one, really. Again, not a painless installation process, but it is a one-off, and once it's done, it's done. This one was noticeably worse, took an awful lot longer. It was the same process and it was the same problem, but it took a lot longer for it to clear. That could be coincidence. I might just have been unlucky this time, or lucky the last time, if lucky is the right way to put it. Unluckier and less unlucky, might be a better way to put it. But yeah, the last time it was done in, well, however long the video showed, I didn't cut anything out on that one. This one I've cut out about half an hour of frustration. However, once it's done, and it's not something you ever have to do again. It just, I wish it had been a little more seamless than that, or a lot more seamless than that. But yeah, there we go. As I say, the next bit will be the roundup, and that'll be us. And then, if you like it, you can use the discount code that I'll put in the show notes underneath the video. Cool. Okay, I've had the system running in the car for about a week now. So let's just go through a quick roundup of my experiences so far. I can't ignore the elephant in the room, so we have to talk about the installation. As you saw, it was hardly painless, but that was the same for the C-Play 2 Air. And although the Carlinkit took longer than the C-Play 2 Air, because it was an identical problem, I think the timing was just random, to be honest, and I think on a different day it would have been the other way round, and the Carlinkit would have been quicker. The problem was identical on both systems. They both showed up as a Volkswagen straight away. They both then changed to Jaguar. They both then wouldn't pair, and then they both then, after multiple attempts and lots of toing and froing, just cleared without me really doing very much. So yeah, the installation was identical on both of those systems, really, and problematic on both as well. Neither was as smooth or as painless as it should have been. But don't let that put you off, because you only have to do it once. Once it's done, it's done. So don't let that put you off. Now, it's worth just having a brief discussion on how they work, because they both work in the same way, and it's not immediately obvious. And I haven't really discussed it up to now. And on first glance, it looks like it's a Bluetooth system, but it's not. What happens is your phone and the dongle pair via Bluetooth first. And that's some sort of a handshake process whereby the two units exchange credentials. But what that then does is it allows, and I think forces, your phone to pair with the dongle, but not via Bluetooth, via Wi-Fi. So it first connects via Bluetooth, but then once that's done, it forces the phone to pair via Wi-Fi. After that, all the data transfer that's going on, all the music streaming and the app streaming and everything else happens over Wi-Fi. I think it's a 2.4 gigahertz Wi-Fi, I think I'm right in saying. And everything happens over that. And that's why it's so quick, smooth, painless and easy, because it's using that extra bandwidth that Wi-Fi gives you. So while that is really good, just bear in mind that if you're somebody that lets other people use your phone as a Wi-Fi hotspot while they're in the car, you won't be able to do that because your phone's Wi-Fi is tied up with the dongle. They would still be able to use the car's Wi-Fi hotspot, the one that's built into the Jaguar, if you've got a good data plan for your Jaguar. But they won't be able to use your phone's Wi-Fi hotspot, so bear that in mind. The pairing speed I was very impressed with, actually. It does seem slightly quicker than the than the C-Play 2 Air one, which I did in the last video. It does seem to pair slightly quicker. I did some timings for you just to give you a rough idea. From switching the car on to the CarPlay apps appearing on my touchscreen, so that, you know, CarPlay being usable, is about 55 seconds with this system. If I have the car up and running and I just pull the Bluetooth dongle or the Carlinkit dongle out, and then plug it back in again, the icons reappear after about 25 seconds. So the first 30 seconds it would appear as being taken up by the car system itself actually booting up. The dongle part of it takes about 25 seconds. It's not, to be honest, it's not significantly slower than plugging your phone in for wired CarPlay. It's like, so when I get in the car and start it up and drive off, my music starts streaming usually around about the end of our street, which is, it's only 100 meters, maybe a little bit more, but no, about 100 meters away probably. And when I was using the phone wired, the music was coming in at roughly the same point, so it's not significantly slower for me anyway so far. I've used it quite a lot of times all week, and it has consistently booted up in that time frame. So I'm finding it not much slower than wired CarPlay in terms of starting up. Now stability, and that, when I was talking to the Carlinkit guys about this, they told me that one thing it has is a more stable chip than the CPlay to Air. And I said earlier in the video, I don't know how I'm going to assess that. But I do have one thing that I've noticed. It could be anecdotal, it may be coincidence, but with the CPlay to Air, there were a few times, I think it only happened about twice in the 3 weeks, where when I switched the car on, it just refused to pair with the phone, and I got that screen that we're all too familiar with by now on the touch screen of trying to connect, connecting, not connected, trying to connect, connecting, not connected, and so on. You know, and it just kept cycling through that and wouldn't pair. All I had to do was unplug the dongle and plug it back in again, and both times it then paired straight away with the dongle. But it did happen. The Carlinkit, in the week that I've used it, and like I say, I've used it quite a lot during that week, hasn't done that once. It's paired every time, and those timings that I gave you before are consistent. So it's paired 55 seconds from startup every time, first time. That's not to say that it might never suffer the same issue, but so far it hasn't. So for me, so far, it is more stable. So that's worth bearing in mind, but as I say, I can't guarantee that would never happen. In terms of music streaming, brilliant. The sound quality, I mean, it's streaming over Wi-Fi, so it should be good. I did suffer just an audio dropout once in the week, and it was just a momentary glitch. I think it was the first time I used it actually. So it may be something to do with bedding in, because it's not happened since, but it was just as if somebody had double tapped the mute button. So I just got this little, like, quarter of a second probably drop out in the audio, and then it came back. As I say, it happened once, hasn't happened again since. So I'm gonna mark it down as pretty flawless on that respect. And the sound quality is superb because, of course, it's streaming over Wi-Fi, not Bluetooth, bear in mind. So you do get very good sound quality. The apps, again, because it's pairing over Wi-Fi, your screen response, the swiping, opening apps, etc., all happens really, really quickly. The only slight issue I've seen is when I use the steering wheel to activate Siri, the voice command button on the steering wheel to activate Siri, it does seem to be a little bit slower in Siri coming up than when I'm using wired CarPlay, but it's not like a lifetime that you're waiting. It's just, I notice it's a little bit slower. And on that point, an additional thing that it doesn't do as well as wired CarPlay is the phone buttons on the on the steering wheel. With wired CarPlay, when I go to a phone call, the top button goes green and the bottom button goes red, the phone one's on the steering wheel, and you can hang up using the red one. With wireless CarPlay, and this applies to the CPlay to Air as well, those buttons don't change color. In fact, the bottom one doesn't come up at all, so you only have the little white phone icon, exactly the same as you do when you're not using the phone. But I think I'm right in saying, not 100% sure on this, but I think I'm right in saying you can still hang up with that button, but you just don't get the red and green the same way you do when you're using wired CarPlay. Now, I don't know why that is, but it's just something to be aware of. Again, not a huge deal. I can still use the steering wheel button to hang up. It just doesn't change, you know. As I say, minor detail, but it's just something to be aware of. So yeah, that's pretty much the experience. I have to say it's been a brilliant experience. It's worked really well. The couple of things that differentiate it really from the CPlay to Air for me are, so far it has been a bit more stable in the boot up part of it. When running, they've both been totally stable for me so far, but in that initial startup portion, so far the Carlinkit has been more reliable for me. And the second thing to point out is that I prefer that separate USB cable on the Carlinkit. Just means if the cable has a breakage in it at any time, I can just buy a USB cable and replace it. And it also means if you want to put the dongle somewhere different, you can connect it to a longer USB cable. Whereas with the CPlay to Air, you're stuck with that little fixed cable, you know, permanently attached cable that's only about that long. So you couldn't do that unless you bought an extension cable, which starts getting a little bit untidy. Whereas with this one, you could just buy a longer USB cable and do it that way. For me, that's not an issue because I just have it hanging from that center, you know, the cubby hole, the USB socket in the cubby hole. I just have it dangling from there on the short cable that comes with the dongle. But you could replace it with a longer one, and if your cable develops a fault, it's cheap and easy to just replace the cable, where with the CPlay to Air you would have to replace the whole dongle. Worth bearing in mind. The slightly faster boot up speed isn't a deal breaker for me, but as few people have pointed out to me on both YouTube and in the iPace forums, they're finding that the CPlay to Air is taking a lot longer for them than it seems to for me to boot up after they start the car. Now, it may be that I'm more patient than they are, or it may be that I've been lucky with mine, either something specific in my phone setup or I've got a good dongle, but both of them do the same thing. So I kind of don't think it's down to a lucky dongle, if you like, if that's a thing. So yeah, if that's a concern for you though, I have found that the CPlay to Air is a little bit quicker than it. Scratch that. Wrong. I have found that the Carlinkit is a little bit quicker than the CPlay to Air. So if it's a concern, then it may be worth going for this one rather than the other one. Price, I believe last time I checked, the CPlay to Air was slightly cheaper than the Carlinkit. However, Carlinkit have provided me with a discount code that I can share with you. I will put it up here now for you, but I've also put it in the show notes underneath the video. But if you use this link to buy it, you will get a £15 discount, which brings them down to quite close in price. You know, there will be fluctuations in price, but at the moment that should bring them down to about the same price, more or less. Worth checking though before you buy one to see if whichever one works out to be cheaper. That might be a prime concern for you, but all things being equal, the discount code is there for you. Now, I get no remuneration out of this. As I say, it's not a paid promotion, and I get nothing from you using my discount code. It's just a discount code that I can share with you, so feel free to use it. You will also probably get it slightly quicker with the Carlinkit because they ship using Amazon, where CarPlay to Air was shipped from. Now I can't remember now. Somewhere in the Far East, though. It's China or Taiwan, or I don't think it was Singapore, but somewhere in that part of the world it shipped from. So mine took about a week or 8 days to get to me, where the Amazon order with Carlink, it would obviously come a bit quicker. And you don't have to worry about customs either. Now, I didn't have a customs charge, but, you know, these things can be a bit random sometimes, so you may find that with CarPlay to Air you would have a customs charge. Carlink, as I say, fulfilled by Amazon, should have no customs issues whatsoever. So that's it. Yeah, if you want to buy one, do use that link down in the show notes. You'll get some money off. But yeah, don't forget to do all the usual stuff of liking, sharing, subscribing, and clicking the bell so that you can be notified every time I upload a new video. Do leave some comments for me. I do try and respond to everybody. But yeah, leave a comment. Let me know if you bought one, if you bought a different one, what your installation was like, if you had the same process to go through that I had, and just general feelings of how it's working for you. Do you prefer it to wireless, to wired CarPlay, etc., etc. And yeah, that's pretty much it for this one. Do hope you've enjoyed it. Do hope you find it useful, and I do hope if you use it that £15 discount helps. If you do want to subscribe to me, you can do that right now as ever by clicking on my ugly little face over there, and don't forget to check out some of my other videos like this one up here. Till next time, this is Abu Dhabi Dude saying so long, take care, see you soon, bye. Abu Dhabi Dude.